everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is April and today we're going to be doing my October wrap up. Now I forgot to do one of these wrap ups in September, but that's okay. I don't even remember what I read then. So we're just going to skip it and we're just going to do October wrap up. I have read 18 books so far and one I probably will finish before the 31st. So 19 books for October. It's been quite a month. A lot of those books were short ones, which I'll get to, but let's just get right into what I read and what I rated them and how I feel about them. The first book I read in October was Thrum. This is a sci-fi horror that's also labeled as romance, but I really wouldn't classify this as romance. This book follows a girl who wakes up from deep sleep. Nobody else is awake with her and her ship is basically inhabited by an alien entity. Things start to happen and she ends up on the alien ship, but things are kind of crazy. The alien shows himself as a human man who is very gorgeous, and his ship also basically just shows her what she wants to see. So everything looks very normal, but under the surface it's not. The reason why I wouldn't really classify this as a romance is because even though there is an HEA at the end, it doesn't feel like the heroine has any say in that HEA. That's very vague, I know, but Thrum I ended up giving 3 stars. I think it was a really good, solid sci-fi horror read. If you're gonna read it, don't go in thinking it's romance, and I think you will enjoy it. Then I read 2 historical romances that are new releases. The first one being The Worst Duke in London. This is by Amelie Howard, which is one of my absolute favorite authors. I gave this 4 stars. This is a 10 Things I Hate About You retelling. You are following a girl who really doesn't want to be in society, but her dad says that in order for her younger sister to court and marry into society, she's got to go into society and chaperone her. And then you have a man who is enlisted by another creep to woo her just so he can date her sister. This completely follows the movie. If you've seen the movie, this book completely follows it, but only in a historical setting. And I really enjoyed it. Again, I love these books. She's doing a lot of these retellings in this series. This is the 3rd book. I gave it 4 stars, it was great. And then I read How to Fall for a Scoundrel by Kate Bateman. Again, Kate Bateman is just one of my favorite authors. And this is classic Kate Bateman, okay? It's got the banter, it's got the adventure. I loved it. The heroines have kind of a secret detective business. They kind of feel like Charlie's Angels, you know? In this, the hero is a con man and he kind of passes himself off as Charlie since nobody's met him. And he says he wants to give up the con man life and actually help them with their detective business and solving mysteries. He also has some secrets of himself that the girls need to help him solve about him. So it all kind of works out, but this is just a lot of adventure, a lot of good times, a lot of banter. And the hero in this is that really overly charming type that I kind of totally just gravitate and love. So this one ended up also being 4 stars for me. I really liked it. Then there was probably my biggest disappointment of the month, A Dark and Drowning Tide. I did DNF this book fairly quickly. I think I was maybe 10 to 15 pages into it. The thing about this book is I was super excited to get this. I got the arc of it. I requested the arc of it because I was like, yes, sapphic, dark academia, this cover, like I was there for it. I could not wait to read this. And when I finally did and started reading it, I have never felt more dumb by a book in my life. Like this book made me feel dumb. I just really wasn't able to follow what was happening in it. It started using a lot of very, like to me, smarmy academia words. I was like, this is way too academic for me because I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't know who they're talking to because there's a lot of characters in the beginning and it honestly just made me feel dumb and I don't like that. I don't like that, so I stopped reading it. I didn't even get to the romance in it and I was super sad about it. I really liked the main characters, sort of what I read anyways. I was really sad about not finishing that at all. I didn't get very far, so I really have no opinions other than the fact that apparently my brain is not big enough for it. However, one my brain is apparently much bigger for, it's a zombie book. This is called Rust Colored Rain. It's by Otto Schaefer. I have always loved zombies. I love zombies. I haven't read a zombie book that I've really loved until this one. This is like Supremo Ultimate Zombie book. Super full of action, lot going on all the time, back to back things happening. It was just really great. If you are a fan of zombie action flicks kind of thing, read this one. It's basically end of the world times. An asteroid is about to hit Earth and the government comes on and says in 15 minutes we're gonna shoot a nuke at it, and so take cover and good luck. So they do that and eventually this rust-colored rain falls to Earth. A lot of people are out in it and they come back in and somehow the rust-colored rain turns them into zombies. And you are following basically a married couple. They're separated in the beginning of this and they have to find their way to each other and survive together. This was just everything I love about zombie movies. I really thank Jenny from Haphazard Book Nook for recommending this. I am totally reading the rest of the books in the series. They are also novella length, under 300 pages, so they were just a good read and exactly what I wanted. Exactly what I wanted. And then I read another arc. This is His to Love by Elena H. Covens. This one was okay. I ended up giving it 3 stars. A girl is transported into one of her favorite books and she's living the life of the book. She knows everything that's gonna happen and she has to help this pirate in this book get to his end game. And he's very suspicious about her. He's like, who are you? He thinks she's a princess and he wants to use her for ransom. Things happen. It's quite an adventure. I think it was really adorable. It just wasn't like anything super special, but for a pirate book, it was definitely super piratey. So if you are looking for a pirate book, read this one. And then I read another 5-star for me, Stolen by Wolves. This one was a Stuff Your Kindle Day find that I've had on my Kindle forever. And I don't know what took me so long to read it, but this is a Viking book. It's super Viking, but with wolves, like shifter wolf men. If you've watched movies like The Last Kingdom, you're gonna love this. It has a lot of the same vibes and feels to it. Basically, you have these men, they're werewolves on the full moon. They get super feral. They have a whole ritual designed around a big orgy. Basically, a big orgy is what's gonna happen. And then you have a girl from a neighboring kingdom who, when during the full moon for her, she gets very fertile. She's kind of held captive by these wolves for reasons, because war reasons, political reasons. And then you have the leader of these wolf shifter Vikings keeping an eye out for her to make sure his whole pack doesn't just completely ravage her. And I honestly, I absolutely loved it. This book is spicy, but the 2 main characters aren't the spicy part of it. So just go in knowing that, but if you love Vikings, read this book. Absolutely read it. It's great fantasy romance. It's paranormal without feeling paranormal. It's very fantasy romance. I absolutely loved it. Everyone should read it. Oh, and also this will eventually be a Why Choose book, but for now you're just kind of following the 2 main characters and this political dynamic that's going on. And then I read The Ghost's Pet, which wasn't a banger. It was a 3-star for me. Girl inherits a house or buys a house that's haunted. And the ghost wants to do stuff with her. This is also part of a series. The Phantom's Pet was much better in my opinion with this. This is a monster romance following the Phantom of the Opera type of thing. I don't know what this is following. It's just the ghost. And to me, it doesn't really have like a solid HEA, but you know, whatever. We went with it. It was fine. It was fine. It was okay. Then I read a whole slew of weird books for this vlog, which I hope you watch, where I laughed my face off. Like my face hurt. I had to have Tylenol because my head hurt. I was laughing so much. There was one clear winner in this vlog. But the other ones were so ridiculous that I still laughed at them. So it was actually kind of really fun. And that brings me to another 5-star read that I read in between all those stupid little books. Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. I went into this, I was talking to Jess from Honest Fiction about this. We both went into this thinking that this was going to be a very like deep fantasy, like very heavily fantasy romance. Whatever they did editing this for the traditionally published version, I think they did very well because this is solidly romantasy, and it's kind of gives me the same feelings that Fourth Wing and Quicksilver does. Like it hits the ground running romantasy, you know what I mean? And it grips you and it keeps you going the entire way. The hero in this, very blunt. He does not hide the fact that he wants the heroine the entire time. The heroine is a lost princess. Her father is evil and trapped her in a dungeon since she was 5 years old. She escaped, but she left her 5 dragons that she's bonded to behind. They are still held captive by her father. She starts up her own kingdom. And then eventually a commander from a neighboring kingdom wants to ally himself with her, so that way she fights for him, she gets her dragons back, and he gets her and her dragon's power. So it seems like a match made in heaven, and she's all for it because her lifelong ambition is to get revenge and get her dragons. This is a road trip romance. There's a lot of sexual innuendos in this. There's a lot of antagonistic banter between the two. It's fantastic. I absolutely love this, and it absolutely should be your next read if you are a fan of things like ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, Quicksilver, all of those. And then a surprise 5-star was my book club pick with Crystal. I did not expect to like this. A Hunger Like No Other. This is the first book in the Immortals After Dark series. This is basically a well-beloved classic of paranormal romance, which is not my favorite, honestly. It's not my favorite, but I can see why people love this so much. This is the book where people say they got into paranormal romance, and I can see why. Like, totally can see why. This book follows a werewolf that has been held captive by vampires for 200 years. And when he gets out, he is horny AF, okay? Because not only is he horny, and he's been underground for 200 years, but he's scented his mate, and his mate happens to be a vampire. But is she really a vampire? She's not fully a vampire, but she's also a vampire, and he hates that. He hates that she is his mortal enemy. She doesn't know it. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? Who are you? This has a lot of pop culture references, but they're from like the early 2000s. So there's things like iPods mentioned, which I think just kind of adds to the charm of this book, honestly. Like, it was just charming in every way. The hero in this is absolutely feral. And then you have the typical virgin heroine in this. It was lovely. Everything about this was lovely. The only thing I will say is that I did read the audiobook. The audiobook is with a male narrator the whole time. And you know how male narrators do female voices in these things. Oh, I'm a girl. That's how they always sound. You know what I mean? Like if that bugs you, maybe don't choose the audiobook of this. I listened to it and eventually I was fine with it, but it was kind of one of those things that I rolled my eyes at first when I started listening. But to me, this is just has like cult classic feels to it. And if you've ever wanted to maybe try Immortals After Dark, go ahead and read this one. It was a good time. There was lots of great characters and I really enjoyed it. Then I had a reread, which I honestly want to apologize to the Black Hat Book Coven for because what I remember from this book actually wasn't this book. It was the second book. It's Burn the Dark by S.A. Hunt. This is about a YouTuber named Robin. She wants to get revenge on witches and she's actually a witch hunter. She does videos killing witches where everyone on the internet thinks they're fake, but they are actually real. She is after the coven that killed her mother and they are the biggest, baddest witches ever. This first book has a lot of setup to the big finale fight, which is in the second book, but this one follows not only Robin, but all the people that she meets when she goes back to her hometown. She meets a veteran who only has one leg and he's also an artist. And then you meet Joel, who is a gay bartender type person and he gets into a lot of trouble. Then you also meet a father and his son who are new in town and actually are living in the house Robin grew up in, and then his son's friends. And there's a lot of characters that you were introduced to in this book, including the 4 old witches who are really, really terrible people. So this one was kind of really slow because of that. It jumps back and forth between storylines with all these different groups of people, so it can be a little jarring and that kind of thing. And you don't get as much action in this one as you do the second one because that's the one with the big fight. And that's the one that I remember because there's some gross things in it. However, I will say one of the coolest things about this book is how the familiars work, because, you know, witches control cats and the cats actually do get inside your body and inhabit your body. So you're just kind of like a puppet for the cat. And then whenever, I don't know, you die or whatever, the cat literally is regurgitated out of your mouth. So it's like super gross, but it's also super cool. So there's that. And then my final book is my book that I'm not quite done with as of today, but I think I will finish it before October 31st. I am loving it, and that is Grave Matter by Karina Helly. I am loving this book. The slow, creepy atmosphere of it is kind of similar to her book Hollow. However, this one is a mystery, psychological thriller type thing, ghost story, forbidden romance. It's about a girl who wins an opportunity to do some Alzheimer's research with a very famous and reclusive lab in Vancouver Island, where it's always foggy and it's always mysterious and always creepy. So you're in these forests and they make you see things and do things. And she's just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And then she also has the hots for her professor. And he's trying very desperately not to have the hots for her. It is honestly, I'm loving it. I think it's pretty spicy. It does take some time to get there, but when it gets there, it's hot. And I'm just a super fan of Karina Helly anyways. So as of right now at 65%, it's probably like in the 4-star territory. We'll see if I get to 5 stars by the end. I'm not quite sure yet. So that's it. Those are all the books that I read for October. I will not be doing a TBR for November or December. I do kind of have an idea based on this video. I'm really into fantasy romance this month. So if you're looking for books that are on my plate, watch this video. But I'm mainly just, November and December is a stressful time, especially for a mom and then with children and a lot of events going on, family obligations, those kind of things. And I really just don't want to hold myself accountable for anything that I don't need to hold myself accountable for. So I will not be doing any book clubs, and I will not be doing any readathons, and I will not be doing any other types of required reading unless I want to. I literally just want to let my brain wander where it wants to wander. As I've always said, reading is my self-care time, and I really just want to read what I want to read in November and December. So you won't be seeing any TBRs from me, but check back in December when I do my December reset, because y'all know I need to switch this from Halloween to Christmas time decorations, and I'm really excited about that. If you have read or liked any of the books that I read last month, let me know about them in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.